Welcome back to this retrospective slash review for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And I'm going to go ahead and launch it real quick from my Sega Genesis Classics collection. And then while the demo reel plays in the background, I'll just go ahead and give you my brief thoughts on the game. And yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So for starters, I want to say this is one of the Sonic games that I have not ever played before. So this is my first time actually playing it. And I like it quite a bit. But one thing I do want to point out I didn't realize is if you hit down a couple of times, you can get into the options menu on this thing, because I had heard there was a way to play this game with just Sonic or just Tails rather than having the two of them together. And well, I didn't see that because I didn't think to press down again to bring up the options. Another thing that I wanted to do with this game is I wanted to make sure that I basically, instead of playing it the way I did here with save states in between each stage, basically, I wanted to sit down and try to play it the way you would have done back in the day on the Genesis itself, which is basically all the way through. So I did do that earlier today. I mean, I did have to pause, walk away here and there, and do other things, but for the most part, I was able to actually complete the game in one sitting. I actually did pretty well, to be completely honest, in my second playthrough. I had a whole heck of a lot of extra Sonics by the time I got to Wing Fortress Zone, which was really good. And I only had to use one of my continues to actually beat the game, but I was able to pull it off. And yeah, I can definitely say for sure that this is a game that, I was able to beat. And, I think that even back in the day, it would have been one of those things I probably would have been able to pull off with a little bit of work, or practice, I should say. So one of the things I want to point out, is just go ahead and let's start talking about some of the positive aspects of this game, because as far as the main Sonic series is concerned, I played Sonic 1 and Sonic CD, and then this one, which chronologically, that basically makes a lot of sense. Even though technically Sonic CD, came out after this one. Having said that, there's just a lot of really good things to say about this game. I think graphically, like all the games so far, still holds up to this very day. It looks really good. And the fact that there's roughly almost twice as many zone types in this game as compared to, well, both Sonic and the first Sonic and Sonic CD technically. So, well, sort of. So definitely twice as many as the original Sonic. Sonic CD definitely had the advantage of having both a past, present, and a good future and a bad future version of each zone. So maybe technically it wouldn't be fair to say that Sonic CD had less zone types because of that, variety that it did have. So if you really compare it to Sonic 1, though, on the other hand, definitely from a graphical perspective, much more variety, a lot of different types of enemies, because each zone type had a unique creature in every one of them, or a unique set of badniks. I wouldn't call them creatures per se, but badniks in each area. So a lot more variety for certain. I would say that along with the extra graphical changes from Sonic 1, you also have a pretty big musical change as well. So the music is obviously much more varied as well, because of the, almost double the stage types. So a lot more song variety as well. So definitely the soundtrack itself is greatly improved over the first game. And I would say it's not quite up to par with the Sonic CD soundtrack, because, well, I mean, CD quality audios compared to the FM chip here on this one. Having said that, though, and what timing. Having said that, though, this song here for Chemical Plant Zone, man, that is just an amazing song. I thought it was just probably one of the best themed songs I've ever heard in any video game. It was just freaking amazing. Just great job for the soundtrack as far as that's concerned. And you know, the sound effects themselves are fairly similar to, you know, the other Sonic games. So not really a huge boost there, but I think the sound effects are very good as well. Um, Comparing this to Sonic 1, you can obviously tell the biggest addition from a control perspective is the addition of the spin dash move. And yeah, it makes a huge difference having that spin dash move. It definitely improved Sonic's performance drastically. But having said that, I think even without the spin dash, I think yeah, Sonic is still a little bit slow to accelerate in certain areas, um, you know, comparatively speaking. But I don't know if it was as pronounced as it was in the first Sonic game. So I feel like Sonic controlled a lot better in this game than in Sonic 1. And, well, you know, obviously compared fairly favorably to the Sonic CD version that I played. So, yeah, control was definitely heavily improved. And all it was improved with was just adding that one move, the spin dash. And that made a huge difference, all the difference in the world, really. And just, you know, a great improvement there. So everything about this game, pretty much, almost everything about this game, I'm about to get to that in a second, is a big improvement over the first Sonic game for sure. I think the addition of Tails is, well, this is where the cast of the Sonic the Hedgehog series just starts to grow. And they grow it fairly slow, it looks like, to begin with. So you just have one new teammate introduced with Tails, basically. And you had Amy Rose introduced in Sonic CD. So it's not like they're inundating you with a whole bunch of characters, which the series is kind of known for moving forward, basically. But I think they did a good job of introducing this new character. And I think that the whole little brother aspect of Tails is just one of those things that I feel like is a really good addition to the game, to say the least. Now, I think they said the game probably would be a lot easier to play if you played just as Sonic singly, especially for the special stages. But at the end of the day, it felt right to play with Sonic and Tails together. It just felt good. You know, I guess if you had two controllers hooked up, you could basically have two people play together. One person is Tails, one person is Sonic. And I think even Tails doesn't really have a lot of control differences from Sonic in this game. He doesn't start to actually have a little more of a unique I wouldn't say personality, a unique control style or move set, basically. It like in this game compared to what he'll have later on. But for the most part, I think the two of them together are it's a nice dynamic. I know he's not obviously Sonic's brother, but he just does have that little brother feel to him, and that's really cool. The one thing I will actually, oddly enough, say was a step back from Sonic 1 is the special stages. And that's kind of odd to say that, to be honest with you, because I didn't like the special stages in Sonic 1 in the slightest. But after having played through the special stages in this game, man, the special stages kind of suck. I guess there's just really no nice way of sugarcoating it. That they aren't very fun. Even when I played it earlier today, the second playthrough, I was able to get 2 Chaos Gems. But that's it, just 2 out of 7. So it's just one of those things. It's like, I feel like even the Sonic CD special stages were better than this. So yeah, Sonic and Sonic CD both had better special stages than this game. So yeah, this game definitely is not 100% a huge improvement over Sonic. It's mostly a big improvement, but the special stages do leave quite a bit to be desired because you just can't see what's coming, and that's where they say playing with just Sonic alone helps out a little bit, because then basically you don't have to worry about Tails getting hit and losing your rings when you get hit by the mines. So you have a little more control in the special stages, but at the same time, with the very limited draw distance, the special stages become basically an act of memorization and just memorizing what comes up next. And I will say there is one big advantage that they have for the special stages, in the fact that you could literally do multiple ones of them all in the same stage if you play the stage correctly. You get enough rings and you hit all the different checkpoints in the level, you could actually get every one of the chaos gems fairly early on, but you just have to be extremely good at those special stages, and well, I wasn't. Especially at my first playthrough, it's almost like a running joke, a unintended running joke of how bad I was at that second special stage. So I'm actually kind of happy that I actually got through it on my second playthrough. That was actually a bit of an accomplishment for me, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, overall, this game is just mostly a huge improvement over the first game. I liked it quite a bit, just in every aspect, and definitely I'm looking forward to playing other games in the series after this, at least the early ones for sure. I will say a couple things about this game. Much like the first Sonic the Hedgehog, this game is no longer, or this version of the game is no longer available on Steam, because they've removed it from the Steam store so that they could get people to buy the Origins version instead, which may not be a bad option, but it's not technically the same version of the game that you see here. My expectation is if you bought this on PlayStation or Xbox, I think, or even the Nintendo Switch, the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive Classics Collection, that you will have this version of the game available to you. In addition, oddly enough, this version of Sonic is actually on the Nintendo Switch online service, at least if you have the expansion pack. So you have technically on Nintendo Switch two ways of going about and playing this game, though probably the more reliable method would be to basically buy the Genesis Classics Collection version, and then you have access to pretty much all the Sonic games, with the exception of CD. Origins is basically, it's a more modern take, and so you'll have widescreen resolution and other changes to the game, which purists may look down upon. But if you've never played it before, and you have Steam as your option, so the Sonic Origins collection, probably not a bad option, even though they may have cleaned it up a little bit. Any way that you get about playing this game, I think it's definitely worth your time if you've never tried it, like myself. And yeah, I think that this is a great game, a huge improvement. But yeah, special stages are probably the biggest drawback to this stage. And another thing I would say that is a bit of a drawback, I feel like the game itself was actually kind of easy. Up until the last two stages of the game, most of this game was actually pretty easy for me to blow through. I didn't get really challenged until, say, I think Metropolis Zone Act 3, and then of course Wing Fortress Zone and the Death Egg Zone. I definitely got very challenged at those spots, but outside of those three levels, and then even like on my second playthrough, I don't think Act 3 Metropolis Zone was that bad on my second playthrough. But yeah, outside of those two Last Zones for certain, it's a fairly easy game, and I would actually argue it's probably easier than the first Sonic game. That's how I felt. I felt it was just definitely less of a challenge, to say the least. I mean, there was still challenge there, but I think definitely getting to the end of the game was, to those last stages, was fairly easy for the most part. But yeah, overall, a big improvement. And I'm trying to think, what would I give this one? You know what? I think I still would give it a 90%. I think it's a great game. You know, I actually liked Sonic CD as well. I think that they both have definitely their strengths. I think this game had a bit more focus, well, a lot more focus technically on speed and going fast. So definitely, I think that was a feather in its cap as well. But at the same time, I don't think Sonic CD is as bad as some people say. So I don't know. I'd say probably I'm torn between a 90% or a 95% for this game. It was really good. I liked it, and just pretty much all aspects of it was well improved over Sonic 1 for the most part, and definitely worth your time. And I think, yeah, definitely, if you haven't ever played it, give it a shot. It's a good time. I enjoyed it. So yeah, I'll say 90%, maybe 95. I can't really make up my mind. If I could go in between, we'll say 93%. How about that? Okay, well anyway, that's my thoughts on this game. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care.